Aircraft carriers, which transport numerous airplanes, inherently pose risks due to the high concentration of aircraft. Hello, everyone. This time I'd like to present the dangers that pilots face when landing on the deck of an aircraft carrier. Let's take a look at the numerous shocking accidents that have occurred on these carriers. Buckle up and let's soar into the sky. The United States Grumman E-2 Hawkeye was designed for long-range detection of enemy aircraft and missiles using its radar system. Since it operates from aircraft carriers, it needs to be compatible with takeoffs and landings on the flight deck. On March 18, 2016, an incident took place during a landing of the Hawkeye on an aircraft carrier. It appeared that the aircraft's landing hook had perfectly engaged the carrier's arresting cable. However, the cable broke, causing the aircraft to rapidly decelerate and roll towards the edge of the deck, almost plunging into the sea. Fortunately, the pilot managed to regain control and lift the aircraft back into the air. The crew members received the Air Medal for saving an $80 million plane. Before the start of World War II, the Saratoga aircraft carrier was used as a training carrier by the United States Navy. Let me share a few incidents that occurred on this ship between 1938 and 1939. On March 17, 1938, a cadet was piloting a Grumman F-3F biplane preparing to land. However, he was flying too high and ended up snagging the emergency barricade net, nearly flipping the plane. Fortunately, the pilot only sustained minor injuries. On August 30, 1939, a similar incident occurred. Take note of the crew's actions immediately following the incident. It's interesting to see how trained individuals react in stressful situations like these. During that time, these types of incidents were not uncommon, as carrier-based aircraft were still relatively new, and landing on ships was in its early stages. Was the landing issue specific to biplanes with a higher center of gravity? Not quite. On November 16th of the same year, Major Magruder faced a similar problem with a Douglas TBD Devastator torpedo bomber. One can only imagine the immense pressure the pilot must have felt. This profession undoubtedly requires excellent balance and a strong stomach. Ejectable seats that save lives came into play. Initially, pilots had nothing else to rely on when it came to landing. They were at the mercy of luck. Over time, ejectable seats were invented to rescue pilots in emergencies. The effectiveness of these seats can be demonstrated by an accident that occurred on May 9, 1970, involving an A-7B Corsair II. The plane failed to successfully land on the Ranger aircraft carrier and rolled off the runway. However, the pilot took action in the last second, managing to escape the aircraft in time. The aircraft's arresting cable, which the plane is hooked to, undergoes rigorous quality testing. However, even these cables can sometimes fail. This happened on September 11, 2003, when an FA-18 Hornet attempted to land on the George Washington aircraft carrier. The cable snapped, but Lieutenant Rick Rivera reacted immediately. He ejected from the aircraft before it crashed into the sea. However, it's not only the pilot who needs to react in such situations. In these scenarios, the broken cable transforms into a dangerous snake that can harm the entire crew. This man displayed incredible reflexes, jumping over the cable and then leaping again. It's truly remarkable. Unfortunately, not everyone was as cautious. Thankfully, this diver showcased their skills. On May 19, 1956, during a landing on the Essex aircraft carrier, a Grumman F-9 Cougar jet failed to engage the carrier's arresting gear. It rolled off the deck, and Lieutenant Colonel John Desmond, the pilot, realized he was trapped in the sinking cabin. A rescue operation commenced, but the rescuers descending from the helicopter couldn't extract the pilot from the cabin. That's when the diver's skills were put to the test. George Duncan, also known as Iron Man, was an experienced pilot who remained in the military as a test pilot after serving in World War II. On June 23, 1951, he was conducting a test flight in a Grumman F-9F Panther fighter jet. As he approached the Midway aircraft carrier, a gust of wind pushed him below the flight deck. What you see on the screen is not the result of a pilot error. It's the outcome of a quick reaction with immediate results. Duncan, realizing he was below the deck, somehow managed to lift the plane and glide with only the cockpit on the runway. Thanks to his quick reaction and the teamwork of the crew who extinguished the fire and rescued him, Duncan returned to test flying in just 6 months. He could be considered a man of steel with an iron spirit. After surviving this accident, he went on to serve in 2 more wars and climbed the ranks to become a captain of an aircraft carrier. Landing on an aircraft carrier during the day is Landing on an aircraft carrier during the day is already challenging, but pilots also need to do it at night. This is where a reliable landing signal officer comes in. They calmly and skillfully guide the pilot to a correct landing, providing a voice of trusted guidance. Their extensive experience allows them to land the plane even in the darkness, amidst rough waves or technical issues. On March 9, 1987, an A-6 intruder experienced a landing gear failure. The captain, pilot Len Atlas, was almost out of fuel and had to perform a belly landing. Meanwhile, in the carrier's control room, Lieutenant Colonel John Bugg was in charge of this perilous flight. He was an experienced landing signal officer and an excellent pilot.